Good day and welcome to the special Black History Month edition of the Connector Live The Influencers. Black History Month is more than a reflection of the past. It's a living testimony to the resilience, creativity, and the unshakable spirit of people who have shaped the very fabric of this nation. It is a reminder that our stories, our culture, and our voices continue to influence the world today. Today's program is a celebration of that impact. We bring together poetry, culture, and history, alongside contemporary leaders who are carrying the torch forward. You'll hear from Andrew Gardner, founder of Brothers Like Us, whose work builds unity and the empowerment of our communities. We welcome Dr. Maurice Henderson, playwright, actor, and activist, whose art and advocacy reminds us of the power of storytelling. And we spotlight Wanda Walker, community leader, a change maker, and a business entrepreneur who proves business innovation can be all the tools of influence together. These voices represent the momentum of Black History Month, the reminders that influence is not only about recognition, but about transformation. It is about inspiring the next generation and ensuring that our legacy continues to grow. So today, let us celebrate, let us honor the past, embrace the present, and look boldly into the future. This is Black History, and this is the Connector Live TV, The Influencers.
The Influencers. The Influencers.
Greetings. I am Sherri Pennington. Black History Month is more important now more than ever. Black History Month began as a vision that was rooted in education, pride, and truth. In 1926, historian Dr. Carter G. Woodson, often called the father of Black history, founded what was then known as Negro History Week. He believed that if a people knew their history, they would know their worth, confirming the concept of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, who once said, "A people without knowledge of self is like a tree without roots." Dr. Woodson saw that schools were ignoring the contributions of Black people, and he made it his mission to change that. He chose the second week of February to honor the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. Over time, that week of recognition grew into a national movement, expanding from classrooms and community centers to churches, cultural festivals, and eventually an entire month. In 1976, during the United States bicentennial, President Gerald Ford officially recognized Black History Month, calling on all Americans to honor the too often neglected accomplishment of Black Americans in every area of endeavor. Black History Month isn't just about looking back, it's about understanding who we are today and where we go from here. It reminds us that Black history is American history, that truth, representation, and progress aren't optional, they're essential. In these times when history is being challenged, erased, or rewritten, Black History Month safeguards truth. It keeps the story whole, and it ensures that when we talk about the building of this nation, we include everyone who helped shape it. And that includes the enslaved Africans whose labor built its foundations, to the scientists, the educators, artists, and activists who continue to define its greatness. Black History Month grounds us. It's our cultural anchor, a reminder of what we've overcome, what we've contributed, and what we continue to stand for. It is also a message to our youth, the next generation who are watching, learning, and dreaming. When our children and grandchildren learn about Katherine Johnson, Malcolm X, Maya Angelou, Barack Obama, or John Coltrane, they see excellence that looks like them. They learn that success and brilliance aren't exceptions in our story. They are our story. It tells them, you belong here. You matter. You are part of a legacy of greatness. Representation like that builds confidence, it fuels ambition, and it tells young people that their possibilities are as wide as their imagination. Still, the struggle and the work continue. Unfortunately, the same issues that early civil rights leaders fought for Education, equality, justice are still being fought today. From voting rights and housing equity to fair wages and access to quality health care, the movement for justice never stopped, it just evolved. By studying and revealing Black history, we see how far we've come and how far we still have to go. It connects the dots between the civil rights movement and today's movements for equity and inclusion. It reminds us that progress is not automatic, it's earned through awareness, unity, and action. Black History Month is usually a time when we come together across generations, across communities, to celebrate shared pride and purpose. We gather in classrooms and living rooms, in churches and cultural spaces, on air and online, to honor those who came before us and inspire those coming after. Through music, through storytelling, through dialogue, we strengthen the ties that hold us as a people. It is how we keep our culture alive and how we keep our progress moving. And when we honor Black history, we tell the truth about history, all of history. We move this country a little closer to the ideals of freedom, fairness, and opportunity that it claims to stand for. When we uplift Black history, we uplift American history. We show what resilience, innovation, and love of community really look like. We remind the world that equality isn't a favor, it's the fundamental right, and that our story, our culture, and our contributions are not just worth remembering, they're worth investing in. Black History Month. It's not just a moment for reflection, it's a call to action. A reminder to keep learning, keep leading, and keep lifting each other up. Every time we share our stories, every time we celebrate our heroes, every time we teach a young person where they come from, we are living history. This is how we honor those who paved the way by walking proudly in their footsteps and leaving a path to follow for others. We live in their footsteps. Black history is not a chapter, it's the entire narrative of perseverance, progress, and promise. And it continues with us. I'm Sherri Pennington, reminding you that when we live in purpose and stand in truth, every month is Black History Month.
Thank you, Sherri. Black history is not just about the past, it's about the innovators, the leaders, and the dreamers, and the everyday heroes who continue to shape our present and inspire our future. From the pioneers who broke barriers in the civil rights, to the artists and entrepreneurs who redefined culture, to the educators and advocates who fight for equity today, Black history is living history. And here on the Connected Live TV, The Influencers, we celebrate those voices, voices that remind us that influence is not measured by fame alone, but by the power to uplift, to transform, and to leave a lasting impact. As we reflect on the struggles and triumphs of our past, we also shine a light on the influencers of today who carry forward the torch of progress with courage, creativity, and conviction. So today, let us honor the legacy, let us celebrate the present, and let us commit ourselves to building a future where every voice is heard and every story is valued and every dream has a chance to rise. This is Black history. This is the Connected Live TV, The Influencers. Welcome back to the Connected Live TV, The Influencers, where real voices rise and transformation takes center stage. Today's guest is not just a change maker, he's a truth teller, a healer, and a warrior for peace. He's the founder and president of Brothers Like Me, and an award-winning nonprofit rooted in violence prevention and emotional restoration. Andrew is a certified anger management and domestic violence prevention specialist. He holds a degree in communication arts and theater from Delaware County Community College, and he's turned that training into a powerful tool for change. through its Arch Against Anger program in Ardmore, Pennsylvania, recognized by the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts and the Governor's Office. Andrew leads small group workshops for teen boys and men who struggle with anger, conflict, and the wounds of interpersonal violence. But this isn't just theory, it's real-time transformation. Participants don't just talk, they witness, rehearse, and practice de-escalation. They learn to ask the hard questions. What if I lose control? What if I want to make it right? What if I want to heal? Andrew's No Excuses curriculum teaches accountability with compassion. His media-based workshops, created by a team of men of color, use storytelling, role play, and experiential learning to reach men where they are. And what makes Andrew's approach so powerful? He blends lived experience, certified expertise in the art of theater and film to model conflict resolution in real time. Please welcome to Connector Live TV The Influencers, a brother, a builder, and a beacon of healing, Andrew, founder of Brothers Like Me. Andrew, welcome.
Hey, man.
Before we dive in, what is the heartbeat behind Brothers Like Me? And what called you to do this type of work?
Well, thank you for having me. The heartbeat is my journey, my story. I grew up a victim of domestic violence. Then as I got older, I carried them unhealthy ways into my relationships. And that had landed me at night in jail. And that was enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wanted to change. While I was in jail for that night, you know, I talked to some brothers in there, and we talked about anger management, and we talked about domestic violence, and they had some very crazy stories. And I was at a place of where I was trying to judge them, but I had to how are you trying to judge these brothers and you in here with them?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so it was like a wake-up call. So when I got out, you know, I instantly wanted to change. I wanted to help because, you know, I was hanging on to that childhood trauma in my adult years. And, you know, childhood trauma in your adult years, that defeats you. So I wanted to get help, but it's kind of hard because, nobody really want to help an abuser. You know, it's like shame.
Right.
So, you know, I was looking, and then when I was able to check myself into anger management and therapy, and I did spiritual counseling, so I was just hitting it from all angles.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like that was my purpose, this was my calling, and I created Brothers Like Me. So, you know, it's out there for any man, any young man that's going through it, that think they might go through it, or just want some information of how to be emotionally intelligent, how to handle anger management and stuff like that.
I do love the name Brothers Like Me. That says it all. That says you know where they're coming from.
Yes, sir.
Now, you have said that anger isn't an enemy, it's a messenger. What message were you hearing in your own life that led to this mission?
Yeah, so I use an example, you know, when you're driving your car and, you know, your check engine light comes on, but the check engine light isn't the problem, it's the signal. But the problem lies under the hood, and that's the anger. So it's not how you respond. So it's like you can respond to your anger or you can react to it. Okay. And you have to learn to respond rather than react. And when you respond, you can never slow it down and process the correct way to address the anger, because anger is a natural emotion that we all have. It's just how we deal with it, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, you can, football games, halftime, you might be losing. Coach come down there mad, but he used that anger to motivate the football players to do better. Mm-hmm. So it's like all how you decide to, you know, handle your anger.
Okay.
Yeah.
In your workshops, men are invited to ask what-if questions. What is the most powerful what-if question that you heard, and how did the room respond to that?
The most powerful one I heard was, well, I hear a lot, so I use that one. What if she hits me? Like, what do I do? Mm-hmm. You know, so that's the most consistent one I get from men in the workshops. You know, what if she hits me? What I'm supposed to do? You know, I'm a man, you know. And then my mom taught me, somebody, man or female, put their hands on me, I hit them back.
Right.
So, we got to unlearn that, that thinking.
So take me through that process, sir.
So, at the end of the day, we all men. We're naturally stronger than women. And if you're having, let's say you are having a conflict and you might be right as the man.
Right.
And she's still going, but you wind up hitting her, that like negates everything.
Right.
And it makes you wrong. It makes
Right.
you look crazy. You got to pay the consequences. So it's like you can't put your hands on a woman or for anybody at that. You got to learn how to walk away, and if that becomes like a problem, then you have to learn how to leave the relationship until that person, wants to get the help they need to be better, So
We used to say, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right?
Yeah.
'Cause the minute you hit her,
yeah,
it's all over.
It's all over. It's a done deal. So yeah.
So you use theater and film to teach de-escalation. Can you walk us through a moment where the performance became a breakthrough?
Yeah. So I was in the school one time and I had the students come up and I have them start an argument. Like I have them act, improv. It's called improvisation. That's what actors do. I see in the movies and stuff, like kind of go off script.
Right.
And so they'll start arguing. Then I'll stop it, and then I'll tell the one actor to step out, and then I say, watch that now. Watch how I handle this, and then we'll start the argument over.
Okay.
And then I'll apply the de-escalation tools or the fear fighting tactics, and then they'll go through that. And then I'll pause it again, and I'll tell the other actor to step out or bring the other student back in, and then we'll go through that, and then they could see in real time this is how you handle conflict resolution skills.
Okay.
Like that.
Is there like steps in de-escalation? Tell me steps for.
So it just kind of goes back to right. So in my workshops, or if you work with me one-on-one, I teach fear fighting tactics, how to communicate. It's like, a lot of times, we play the blame game. I mean, you.
Right.
And then instead of saying I,
Right.
You make me feel this way. You can say, well, I feel this way.
Right.
When you've done such and
Okay.
such.
Yes.
Yeah, so
okay.
it's kind of, I teach that, and then how to apply it and stuff like that.
So does that work in de-escalating?
It works. It does work. Sometimes you might have a person who's still ain't trying to hear it.
Right.
And that's when you just gotta learn how to take a breath, pause, and you just gotta lead the conversation.
So, I'm just saying, take a breath. I know. I'm one of them brothers in the meditation and all like that, which helps me
Okay.
even out my emotions.
Okay.
And it helps me also look at how I reacted to a situation, so I can see how that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then placing the responsibility, especially when dealing with boys. You the man. You gotta take responsibility for whatever situation that you're in.
Correct.
Right, yeah. So how do you balance accountability with compassion, especially when working with men, with the men who cause the harm?
Well, I meet them where they are, and I'm very transparent by sharing my story. So it's kind of like a vulnerable space. Like if they feel it's like I'm vulnerable with them first, they can be vulnerable with me, and we can be honest. And through an honest conversation, you can start the healing process, because a lot of people won't be honest and they'll lie.
Right.
Then they're healing on a lie. Then you wonder why, like, this person ain't healed. They're like,
Right.
this, that, and the third. They never healed. They lied.
Right,
So
right, exactly.
They lied.
Exactly.
They lied to you. They lied to themselves.
Right.
So they're not going to heal properly. So just kind of meeting them where they are, sharing my story, and then we just, dig deep. And like I said, this me going through it, I can see like when a brother is, BSing, is not being real with me. So, and I was like, when you want to be real, we can have this conversation. Until then, just you come back.
See, now you got me anxious. Now I want to hear your story. Here, we know that one of the end results, you ended up in jail, spending the night in jail, and confronted her. But what got you to there?
Well, growing up, I used to see my dad, abuse my mom. My mom was like, from my memory, like during them arguments, like I never really seen my mom argue. My mom was just quiet. I seen my dad just kind of snapping and wilding out, and my dad would get drunk off beer, so I know that kind of played a factor into it and stuff like that. And So as I got older and I started to deal with conflict, I dealt with conflict in unhealthy ways myself, but I never viewed it as domestic violence because me and females, we were like arguing back and forth,
Right.
and it would escalate. So I never looked at like, bro, you an abuser. I never looked at, even though I was
Right.
like putting my hands on them, they was putting their hands on me and stuff
Right,
like that.
right.
I didn't view it like that because I viewed it as, well, I'm not just hitting these girls for no reason, like how my dad was doing my mom. So, that's where I had to check myself and kind of unlearn my thinking. Yeah.
So, Andrew, what is the legacy you hope Brothers Like Me leaves behind, and how can we as a community help carry that torch?
Just helping men heal, things like Brothers Like Me or Brothers Like Me. Because I like when, I help a man heal and they reach out to me and they say, hey, man, that technique you taught me, it really helped me. I was about to lose it, but I thought about with your class and,
Right.
I stayed in
Yeah.
control. So I love hearing stories like that. And just putting the word out there, it's like Brothers Like Me is a good program. Sharing the videos on social media, just putting the word out there and, just helping brothers like me get into more schools.
Okay.
That would
Great.
be the
Great.
main thing.
Great. Yeah, so I guess, is that the message that you want to send out to them? Maybe give me some contact information for somebody who want to contact you to get involved with your program.
Yes. So my contact information is for brotherslikeme@gmail.com. Website, brotherslikeme.org. You can connect with me through the website. Facebook, Brothers Like Me. Instagram, BrothersLikeMe_. And, I respond to the message. I'll get back to you. We can set something up.
What Andrew Gardner brought to this conversation wasn't just insight, it was ignition. He lit a fire for accountability, for healing, and for the kind of transformation that begins within and ripples outward. Through Brothers Like Me, Andrew has shown us that violence prevention is not just a program, it's a promise. A promise to meet men where they are, to teach them how to rise, and to remind them that dignity is not a destination, it's a daily decision.
Tonight on the Connector Live TV, we welcome a guest whose brilliance defies categories and whose impact spans generations, genres, and global movements. He is a Black world influencer, a thought leader, and an emergent chief leadership officer, a man whose voice has shaped culture, challenged systems, and inspired change. Please join me in welcoming the one and only Dr. Maurice Henderson.
So, Dr. Henderson, you've been called a celebrity scholar, a pop culture phenomenon. How do you balance the academic depth with this mainstream visibility? And why is that fusion so powerful for our community?
Well, I think that a lot of times the scholars stay in the classroom and all thing they do is teach. I think that I've had the benefit to be on radio, television, newspapers, magazines, and talk shows because I put myself out there because I wanted to see a better representation of those that come from the inner city, the ghetto lounge, and then down these main streets. So I think that you see folks like Cornel West or Michael Eric Dyson, and I don't know if they're preaching. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what text that come from. I really can't figure it out. So I figured enough is enough. Let me step out there, and I try to make sure that everyone around me who's educated has the opportunity to do the same to reach the masses. And I just think that it's really, really important. And I also make sure that those around me also give money back to the community.
Why did you specifically call out Dr. West and Rice? What's the issue?
No, so the issue is like a lot of times when I hear them speak, they're not speaking to the common man or common woman. And they're speaking so fast as though that they're rapping, but that's not what rap and hip hop is. It's at a different kind of level, and it's a message. And they mixing the Bible and scholarly texts, and I can't make sense of it because they don't quote what page, what book,
Okay.
what title, what proverb. I mean, I need to know where the stuff is coming from. It sounds good, and they up there moving, shucking and jiving. I said, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. You know.
I understand. They're not down to earth. They are academic scholars,
Yeah.
and they come across as that.
And like sometimes they say words that got like 10 syllables and that kind of stuff. Who's trying to hear that?
Okay, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. Cool. Yep. So, out of all the works that you've done, as we read and talked about in your intro, you've done so many things and continue to do it. What is the most, I guess, influential thing that you do?
I think being able to be a incubator for Black male studies, I think that's really, really been important about looking at the Black man from a different point of view, understanding that we are made in the image of God. And, our struggle is to keep ourselves whole and to deal with healing and wellness and also forgiveness. So I've been doing this. I realized that this year is my 40th year in doing this. And next year, 2026, will be 40 years since I opened up off Broadway in New York with a play called Black Man in the Bottom. And then that came from I'm hanging out with some frat brothers. They talking about, go ahead with that nonsense. You need to put that on stage. I said, come on, be for real. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, we're going to tell you right now, come Black History Month, you're going on stage.
Okay.
So I went on stage with that, and it got picked up, sponsored by Sonia Sanchez, Ruby D,
Wow.
Oscar Brown, B. Richards. But, the most important thing, if someone keeps saying something to you, you need to start thinking about it, rather be right or wrong. And I believe that you should take the good of everyone's conversation. I don't think that people are here to hurt me. I think people are here to teach me, train me, and educate me. And ever since then, it's been a blessing.
Let's talk about Martha's Vineyard real quick.
So, Martha's Vineyard is a haven for Black culture. The Obamas have a house there, and so and you can only get there by boat, and you're going to come a certain time and leave a certain time. But some of my friends they have jets. I don't know where they land the jets, but I heard they had jets. Okay, and so it's the hoi polloi, it's the upper crust of Black folks, and I'm listening. Everybody got their heads up. Everybody wearing diamonds and gold and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's a rich culture. And I realized that there's a book out about Martha's Vineyard written by Jill Nelson. And Jill Nelson was one of the first persons to interview me and put me in the New York Times. And she is a scholar, so I have a kindred spirit to Martha's Vineyard. And also the Hamptons, So I'm an Ivy League trained man.
Okay.
I'm a Black Ivy League trained man.
See.
So I believe being elitist just a little bit, but I'm really, really down to earth. So when I go to prisons, I don't wear a suit. I wear Timberlands, jeans, Levi's, and my hat turned backwards, and I speak that language. And I don't go on the podium of the stage. I'm on the floor. I'm down there with the brothers. And that's been so important because I realized a lot of ex-convicts, they see me and they say, listen, we love seeing you on prison television. I didn't know they had it. Okay, I had no idea.
Really?
So
Prison
I've been going like all across.
They don't have nothing else to do.
So they have their own prison network.
Interesting.
And the school television, they have their own network. Allied Media, they have their own network. Mm-hmm. Independent Media, they have their own network.
Okay.
College they have their own network.
Yeah.
And I've been on all those networks, but no one told me. I'm just watching television. I just see myself. Bam, there I am.
Well, Dr. Henderson, you've been a prophetic voice for movements like Black Lives Matter and Me Too and even the LGBTQ campaigns. What do you see as the next frontier in cultural activism, and how can the media shape it?
I think ethnicism, far beyond racism, we have to look at what does our ethnicity, what is our culture, what is our background, what is our melanin, What's it doing to people? What kind of hatred is it creating and causing? What kind of furor is it causing amongst people? I got to look at why it is that Caucasians kill us and why we kill ourselves. I got to find out the reason why it is that a mother, a grandmother, and a child may be killed by somebody that looks like me. You know, it's really, really important that we look at the dimensions of what is missing when it comes to joy, peace, love, and happiness. We don't even discuss that. I ask black rappers, why y'all don't discuss about love? Y'all discuss about, I did this to a woman, I did that to a woman, but y'all don't even discuss about, you know, the sensitivity, you know, the feelings, the emotions when it comes down to a woman, because that's where you came from. And so you using the B word, cussing them out, you know, talking down to them, talking dirty. Nah, that don't work. I want to know why it is that black men are driving nice cars, but are not paying child support. I want to know what's going on. I want to know where the money goes. I want to know why it is that a parent has a child, and that child is getting D's and E's and is truant, but is wearing $500 sneakers and a cell phone that costs $1,000. No, that's not going to work. I want to know why it is that some parents have subsidized housing that's only costing like $100 a month, and they're back in arrears and rent for $100, but wearing a fur coat. I want to know, you know, what is the 6 degrees of separation that we're going through, so we can get back to ourselves. So, you know, we can sit down and be comfortable, laugh, joke, have fun, and that's what's missing. I'm always smiling, you know.
So you want to know these things. What have you found out? Have you found out the answer to these things?
Because it sounds like, to me, is based in our self-esteem. Having a low self-esteem, so you want to express yourself by buying things beyond your means, you know, and being of an African culture in a Eurocentric culture really has an impact on us trying to emerge as successful.
Okay, so since you are the connector, okay,
Okay, that's right.
I'm going to try to connect with that. I'm looking at this here thing, and I look at brothers and sisters, and I look in their eyes, and I see that they're heartbroken, and I see that they're spirit wounded, but everything else is a facade, and they just getting dressed up to make like everything is okay. But I can tell you right now, no, the kids are not all right.
Right.
They're not all right. And I think that sometimes, you know, they want somebody to save their life, but they don't know how to say it. They don't know how to express it. They want somebody to keep them alive. They don't know how to say it or to express it. And a lot of times, I can look in some of the black men's faces and know, without them saying so, I ain't supposed to be here. I am not supposed to be here. And when we have terminology like no child left behind, that's just a terminology. There's a lot of children left behind. There's a lot of children in juvenile detention. And I had to realize I've been working at St. Gabriel's for 20 years. And then I've also did consulting for Devereaux, Wordsworth, and Carson Valley. I didn't know that those boys were being touched. I had no idea, and no one said anything to me whatsoever. They just always came to my events. I had them in the community. And so I guess that if they would have told, they would not have been able to come to my events. So they have to keep their mouth shut.
You know, having worked in that culture, and we used to say, because all those kids that are committed to the government, and the government is probably the worst parent that a child could have, right? So putting a child in congregate care is the worst thing that you can do to your child. And even in Philadelphia, they tried to move away from that because all the things that was happening, like you were saying, at those places, they closed down a lot of those places you're talking about.
Yeah. You know, and for me, I spent time at Girard College, which you think is a boarding school. No, that's actually a foster care society. And you become the ward of Girard College. Well, 30% of the boys that I had at Girard College went to prison.
They went to prison?
They went to prison. And I didn't know that when they were going home on the weekends, they were going back to the vices.
Right.
That their parents were trying to keep them from.
Exactly. Yeah.
I didn't know. And, so I told them, if you ever need anything, come live with me. And, we have a spoken word program. And I'm standing there, and one guy put his hand on my shoulder and put his hand on my back. Another guy put his hand on my back. He said, you're like a dad to us, and we love you. I was shocked. I just thought that, I was just a teacher. So I was the surrogate guardian. I was the advocate. So a lot of things I just know. We from the SP, okay?
Right.
We from South Philly, and we homies, we brothers. As soon as I met him, I said, we cool.
Okay.
As soon as I met him, we cool.
Okay.
So with all these experiences that you've had, what advice would you have for our emerging thought leaders and aspiring leaders of the day?
Keep your word. Stop lying. Whatever you say, show some reference, some documentation.
Okay.
And stop making no favors. Just stop making stuff up. Stop practicing superstition. Worry about a black cat, a hat on the table, walking underneath a ladder, crossing the pole. I do all that. So I'm saying, and these false memories, and stop being an enslaver of our community, of our children, of your mates, and stop harming people. Stop causing pain. Stop causing hurt. And be truthful. But also, step into a period of enlightenment so people can see your amazement, your glory, your peace to enlighten.
So if people wanted to get more information on your works or whatever, do you have a website or anything, any new books or projects that you want to tell us about?
You can write me at Grady for Prison. No, okay.
See him on stage at the
right. Yes. So you can email me at Maurice, Maurice, Brian, Brian, Henderson, Henderson, at yahoo.com, or you can call me at 215-294-7968. Let me say this. I'm available for groups and organizations to help you raise money to get you ordinance development. I'm available to support causes, missions, and agenda. If I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. Jesse Jackson used to say, keep hope alive. I'm trying to make sure that all the positive things is manifested in our lives, in people, places, and things. I'm a believer. I believe in the goodness of people. I'm looking for it, trying to find it, trying to locate it. I'm in search of that goodness, that happy feeling all over this world.
Okay.
Me too.
Martha's Vineyard. Okay, I told you.
All right.
I'll be there.
So we definitely have to bring you back. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for
Brother.
Thank you for
Connector, brother.
your contribution to our community,
Thank you, brother.
making a difference.
God bless your soul, sister.
Same to you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure
Thank
getting
you very
to know
much.
a little bit about you.
Right.
It seems like there's so much more to know.
Yeah. Listen, I'm a piece of work, okay? Pick up the pieces, okay?
Yes, sir.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
And tonight, we just didn't hear brilliance. We witnessed a blueprint. a masterclass in media, movement, and meaning. Dr. Maurice Henderson, your presence on the Connector Live TV was more than just an interview. It was an innovation and vocation. It reminded us that being a thought leader isn't about titles, it's about truth.
Right.
It's about being a cultural influencer isn't about popularity, it's about purpose.
Yes.
From best-selling books to the Broadway stages, from the syndicated columns to televised commentary, your voice has been a compass for communities seeking clarity, courage, and change. You canalized your struggles, celebrated our triumphs, and challenged us to think deeper, act bolder, and live louder. You are a scholar of the soul, a strategist of the streets, and a sentinel of justice. And tonight, or this afternoon, you've left us with more than information. You've left us with inspiration. To our viewers, that Dr. Henderson's journey reminds us that magnificence is not a moment, it's a mindset. That the power of your voice, your vision, and your values can shape the world around you. So until the next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and as always, be magnificent.
Wow.
Today, we have the privilege of introducing a woman who embodies the very essence of community leadership and entrepreneurial excellence right here in Philadelphia. For over 2 decades, she has been a vital force in the 8th Ward in Cheltenham, not just as a block captain, but as a true community advocate who shows up every single day in her neighborhood. Wanda Walker is a woman of extraordinary range. As the owner of Wanda Walker Real Estate, she doesn't just sell properties, she creates pathways to affordable housing and dignified living for families throughout our region. Her expertise in property management has transformed countless lives, providing stability and hope to those who need it most. But her impact extends far beyond real estate. For 11 years as the owner and director of Read Ready Daycare Academy, Wanda shaped young minds and gave working families the peace of mind that comes with quality childcare. She built educational standards and created an environment where children from diverse backgrounds could thrive together. Her professional credentials are equally impressive. A Lincoln University graduate with a specialized training in cytogenetics from Thomas Jefferson University. Wanda spent years as a medical technologist, bringing precision and care to patient diagnostics across some of Philadelphia's most respected hospitals. What truly sets Wanda apart is her unwavering commitment to civic engagement. She serves on the 39th District PDAC, led the CUA 5 as president for 13 years, and sat on the board of directors for Turning Points for 15 years. She mentored young people through the Youth Advisory Board and continues to organize and mobilize her community toward positive change. Wanda Walker represents the very best of Philadelphia, a woman who builds businesses, strengthens communities, and lifts others as she climbs. Please join me in welcoming to the influencer stage entrepreneur, community advocate, and the true Philadelphia change maker, Wanda Walker.
Thank you so much for that introduction.
Yes, welcome.
Hello, Wanda. It's truly an honor to have you on here on my show. You're not only a colleague, a major force within our community, but a friend as well. Now, what I understand, you've been a block captain since the year 2000 and a community advocate in the 8th Ward since 2018. Can you walk us through what being a block captain actually means in Philadelphia and how that ground level organizing translation to political power and community change?
I sure can. First of all, I've owned property in that area since 2000, particularly the Germantown area. So wherever I own property, I always get involved. I became a block captain, I believe, 2018 because of you, Michael. I took one of your classes in civic duty, and it just opened up the door to what I realized was more work that I needed to do in the community. If you remember, it was around the time that Trump first won. And I went to sleep thinking he wasn't going to win, and it would be Hillary. Not that I care for her anymore. And when I woke up, I realized that it's not them, it's us. We need to do more. And I took your course, came all the way downtown that summer, and I was just so impressed by what you were teaching and some of the people you had in the classroom that it literally forced me, because I kept calling you, asking you questions in reference to what do we need to do to empower the community. And so it forced me to do more. And I believe that summer alone, or within 1 year, I signed up with 8 different organizations because of you, because of Michael. I kid you not. Like, he is a fantastic teacher, and I was so frustrated. I'm still frustrated, but at least I feel like I have some power and I help other people. But he really gives information that everyone needs to hear. Not only children, if we could put him in a bottle and sell him to schools, but people in the community. Block captains need to take his course because that's where the power is, in the community. We can't afford any longer to expect people who might look like us, that are politicians, to really truly represent us properly. They've shown us they're not going to do it, and so we have to take control over our own destiny, and that's community power.
So you took that information from that workshop and took it to the next level.
Yeah.
So tell us about your experience as a block captain and the stuff how you've been organizing within the community. I know that you've been with the CUA. You joined the CUA and became like the president of the CUA.
5 years in a row.
What
And
is the
CUA?
CUA? What is the CUA?
Yeah.
Michael can explain that, and so can I. We work with DHS, so we're an umbrella organization that works with DHS to help bridge the gap between the families and DHS. And being that I had a daycare at the time, they used my location for family meetings and family outings. So parents would feel more comfortable coming to my place than maybe going into a DHS office.
Okay.
You know, that helped a lot. And I had so much fun with that. We had baby showers, party, parent, what were they called? Parent co-ops and things like that. It was so much fun that I actually gave KUA keys to my building. I was like, yo, anytime you want to come, just come. Because I wanted my building to be known for everything positive or anything positive in the community. And when you're building, you have to see beyond yourself. So it's about footprints and legacy. So it's not just if you're a customer, meaning the daycare, that I'm serving you. Because to fix our problems in our community, you have to focus on not just the child, but the whole family. And that's exactly what DHS is about. You hear good stories and bad stories, but overall, DHS is a good thing that's supposed to help the family. So I wanted to align myself with what they were doing and to help make them better.
Yeah, so just to give you a little background, CUA is Community Umbrella Organization. And it's kind of like the center point for a whole bunch of nonprofits in the area that provide services to the families and children within that community. Now, she joined the CUA, but also she became the president of the CUA, right? And then you
5
sat
years
on the
in a row.
board, and I think the
Turning
CUA agency was Turning Points, and you were on the board. You became the president of the board of the.
No, I was a member, and
A
that's
member.
David Fair,
David
someone
Fair.
that I hold in high regard. He had me come to a meeting for all the CUAs, all 10.
Right, yeah.
And the big issue that year was housing. Go figure. Here we are in 2025,
Yep.
and we're still talking housing. And I simply said, as a small landlord, if a family can live in a car, why can't they live in a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom? Often when the children are taken, the last part of requalification to get your children back is to find proper housing. And their very definition of proper housing sort of dictates how many rooms have to be in what you're renting. And with the prices going up the way they are, and the very fact of a family having issues with DHS lets you know that more than likely they're going to be financially challenged. So the last thing they need is someone telling them that they have to get a 3-bedroom house and they can only afford a 1-bedroom. Meanwhile, you can put a pull-out couch in the living room, 2 bunk beds in the bedroom, put a divider in. And that's pretty much what I said. And David liked what I said so much. He was like, you have to be on this board.
Okay.
And I would go. I felt so out of place, and I would call him because everybody on the board was very, very well off. Here I am coming from work, like in the middle of my day, of being the director at my daycare, to break off to come to these meetings. And I'm in a nurse's uniform. Everybody else is in suits. You could tell everybody had quite a bit of, they were all 6 figures and higher, and probably like the president of a bank and everything. But he said, no, Wanda, I need you to go because you speak for the community and they need to hear you.
Yeah, you were the
appreciate
most
it.
important person in the room.
I didn't feel that way.
Yeah, you were the most important person in the room because it's your input that kind of that shaped what the initiatives were about.
You now see what type of trouble he gets me into.
Right.
It's like
If
good trouble.
It's good trouble, but if anybody has a problem with hearing me on Word Radio or WBNN, I'm on that every Monday at 9:30. Or when I go to City Council and speak, they can blame Michael Rice. He is the one that literally, and I am not exaggerating, prior to that, I just voted for anybody I saw coming through the neighborhood and made a couple donation checks and went on about my business. After that year when Trump won and I woke up and I realized that, look, politics is getting really hairy. I took his class and he was like, look, you have the power. We have the power. He should be the one.
Which class was it that you took?
Civic
commu-
engagement?
yeah,
I think it was
community
called.
engagement.
See?
Community
Yeah.
engagement. And from
Ground
that,
rules,
it just sprungboard you into
did.
organizations, joining, you said,
it
about
did.
8 organizations
At once, yes.
at once.
Yes, and I had a ball doing it because at a certain point in your life, I guess when you're past the college partying and you've been married and the kids are sort of almost grown, you really start thinking about how do you honor your parents? What is your footprint and your legacy going to be? And when you do something like a daycare, you really, you just see so much beauty in those children. And most people don't even realize you learn 70% of everything in the first 3 years of your life. So to have that type of responsibility, even when the parents don't know
Yes.
this information, but you know it, you know, as a daycare provider, as a medical technologist, it had a lot to do with how I did my daycare. And the year that I opened was the year I lost my father, and he was my best friend. So to honor him, as always, whether he was alive or not, I put everything into that daycare because he used to be the father for the whole community, and he used to always say the kids are your future. So it
That's
was
right.
my way of giving back. It was my way of honoring my father, and it was my way of getting through a very tough, dark time, having a daycare. And when you have kids around you, you can't help but be happy.
Yes.
Even now I'm teaching, and I'm laughing, 7th graders. But I come in every morning, and you'll see some of the teachers, like, now I have such a positive attitude or neutral. I come in saying, let's get the party started.
Okay.
And they're looking at me like, and I mean it.
I love that.
love being
Yeah.
around kids. They're awesome. And they are our future. Like, listen, we don't have anything unless we have their back.
But let me ask you this though, Wanda, because I know we had the discussion before about like I know because your properties, a lot of properties are in Germantown. How does gentrification affect what's going on within your community?
Okay. You really want to ask the question.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
going to make the politician piss off when they hear this.
I want to
right?
hear what you
Okay.
got to say. 'Cause
So, gentrification. You have gentrification, you have revitalization. The difference between the two is how you treat the people that are already living in the community.
Okay.
Revitalization is when you have their input, you consider them, you know, and they're at the table with you as a partner. Gentrification is when your politicians sell you out, allow the developers to come in and do whatever, whenever. We've seen how fast North Philly was sold. We see some of the other areas and how it happens. Right now we have a Mayor Sherrell Parker, our beautiful, intelligent, experienced, 34 years of experience. Mayor is dealing with the unraveling of DEI, but that was happening during the Kenney administration. So please don't piss on our leg and tell us it's raining. They knew it was coming. And with 34 years, you should have Plan A. And I don't want to be this
Wanda, I
person.
know we're going to have to bring you back.
Definitely.
I'm quite sure.
make sure my
I'm
hair's
quite
full
sure people are going to call in and ask for you.
Yeah.
So let me just say this. Wanda, I want to thank you for bringing your honesty and such depth and such hard-earned wisdom to this conversation today. What strikes me most about your journey is that you haven't just talked about community, you built it, block by block, family by family, child by child. For more than 2 decades, you've shown us what real leadership looks like. It's not just glamorous. It's knocking on doors when nobody's watching. It's showing up at meetings that run too long and solving problems that don't even make the headlines. It's putting your own resources, your own reputation, and your own time on the line because you believe in something bigger than yourself. You've worn so many hats: realtor, property manager, daycare director, medical technologist, board member, block captain, community advocate. And in every single role, you centered the same question: how do I serve? How do I live? How do I make sure nobody gets left behind? That's the definition of influencer. Not someone with followers, but someone with impact. Not someone who just talks about change, but someone who creates it. To our viewers watching today, Wanda Walker's story is a reminder that most powerful movements don't start in City Hall. They start in our blocks, in our neighborhoods, and with people who care enough to stay and fight. Wanda, Philadelphia is better because of you. The 8th Ward is stronger because of you, and the families you have housed, the children you've educated, and the neighbors you've organized. They're all evidence of the life well lived in service to community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your work, and thank you for showing us true influencer power, what it looks like.
Thank you for that, Mike. I want people to know it's not a black-white thing. It's the haves against the have-nots. And the minute we realize that, we're going to be able to be okay.
As we close tonight's episode of the Connector Live TV, The Influencers, I want to leave you with this. Every story shared, every truth spoken, every vision revealed reminds us that influence is not about fame, it's about impact. The change makers we spotlight don't just lead, they lift. They don't just speak, they spark. And they don't just show up, they show the way. And I couldn't do this without my incredible co-host, Sherri Pennington, whose insight, energy, and grace help bring every conversation to life. Sherri, thank you for being the heartbeat of this platform. To our viewers, our artists, our leaders, and our dreamers, thank you for being a part of the movement. Keep connecting and keep communicating. Keep collaborating. And as always, be magnificent. As I stand before the mountain, upon the edge of the cliff, I feel in my mind and soul an eternal momentum shift. Unlike the others, I know what I seek. This mission has manifested and is now at its peak. It's up to us to go together where before we went alone. We're moving to the next level. We're in the power zone. Winning is an attitude like love and emotion. And when you get it right, it's more powerful than the ocean. Tomorrow's not just another day of the week. Applause and cheers and even a bag. That's not what we seek. But instead, an understanding of our power and exactly who we are. For it is in our awakening we become the universe's most powerful star. And you can feel it too, deep down to the bone. The truth is, you don't have to be alone. These words are words of healing, regardless of what you're feeling. Let them be the bandage to your soul. Make happiness and peace your goal. So stand back from the edge of the bottomless cliff and get ready for this, the momentum shift.